Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here at the 2025 Vote for Art event. We're very excited about what's going to happen this evening. I'm Amanda Herman. I'm the Associate Director of the University Museum of Contemporary Art, and I'm one of 3 co-teachers of this special course called Collecting 101, which you'll hear a little bit more about. So tonight what's going to happen is I'm going to read the land acknowledgement, then I'm going to introduce my co-teacher instructor, Christina DeRocher, who's going to kind of orient us and fill us in on the program and what you're about to hear. And then that will be followed by 3 student group presentations, which is really why we're here, to hear the work the incredible students have done this semester in researching and promoting 3 artists for your consideration and artworks for us to purchase for the museum. So I'll begin with and then of course we vote, and then by the end of the hour we will have a winner and we'll announce that to you before you go home tonight, and so it's very exciting. So the land acknowledgement. UMass Amherst acknowledges it was founded and built on the unceded homelands of the Pecomtuck Nation on the land of the Norwottuck community. We begin with gratitude for nearby waters and lands. We recognize these lands and waters as important relations with which we are all interconnected and depend on to sustain life and well-being. The Pecomtuck had connections with these lands for millennia. Over 400 years of colonization, when Pecomtuck peoples were displaced, many joined their Algonquin relatives to the east, south, west, and north. That includes Mashpee and Aquinnah, Wampanoag, Nipmuc, Narragansett, Mohican, Pequot, Mohican, and Abenaki communities, and other nations of the Wabanaki Confederacy. These Native peoples still maintain connections and relationships of care for these lands today. We also acknowledge the University of Massachusetts is a land-grant university. As part of the Morrill Land Grant Act, portions of land from 82 Native nations west of the Mississippi were sold to provide the resources to found and build this university. As an active first step towards decolonization, we encourage you to learn more about the Native nations whose homelands UMass Amherst now resides on, and the indigenous homelands on which you live and work. We also invite you to deepen your relationship to these living lands and waters. Thank you. Now I'm going to ask Christina DeRocher to come up, and we'll continue with tonight's program.
Thank you so much, Amanda, and welcome everyone to Collecting 101. I'm really excited with this year's cohort of students. We have 8 students that come from across the university representing different disciplines and different colleges and schools. So kudos to them. You'll get to meet all of them when they present their pieces. This year for Collecting 101, we are focused on Indigenous artists as we did last year. We really felt that this was an opportunity to deepen our commitment to collecting Native American artists, and we feel that the 3 pieces that the students will be presenting, all of them would add considerably to our collection, and we're excited by any one of the possibilities that you might be presented with. So I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to Adrian Torf, whose funded and sponsorship of this program allows us to increase our collection and benefit from the participation of students. This program is named in honor of her mother, who had a deep and lasting relationship with the university. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about Lois Torf, who has a legacy in the print world in Massachusetts, at UMass, and specifically in Boston as well. So a little bit about Lois Torf, whom we are deeply indebted. Lois B. Torf graduated in 1946 and received an honorary doctorate in 1986. She was an eminent 20th century print collector and, with her husband Michael K. Torf, a patron of the arts. She served on the UMass Fine Arts Center Board of Directors, as well as the Chancellor's Executive Advisory Committee, and donated significantly to the University Museum of Contemporary Art. We did a recent count, and we have nearly 200 works of art from her in the collection. She also served for decades as a trustee of the Museum of Fine Arts Boston and the Institute of Contemporary Art Boston, and in 1995 received a second honorary PhD from the Art Institute of Boston. She mentored countless print collectors and welcomed visitors from museums around the world to view her collection, which is exhibited at Williams College Museum of Art and at the Museum of Fine Arts Boston. She was the first person in her family to graduate from college, and throughout her life, she remained proud of her connection to UMass Amherst. So again, we are deeply indebted to Lois B. Torf, her daughter, Adrienne Torf, and the work of her as a print collector continues on with the students who will be presenting tonight. So thank you. So I would like to welcome group number 1 to share their work with you. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Theo Stanforth. I'm an art history major. I'm a senior art history major here at UMass, and I'm also an artist, and so I'm really excited to talk about this process of like collecting and acquiring art with you guys.
Hello, my name is Olivia Shaughnessy. I'm an art history and English dual degree sophomore, and I'm so excited to be able to introduce to you today the artist Wendy Redstar and the piece of hers that will be our potential acquisition to the UMCA's permanent collection.
Hi, I'm Carter Newport. I'm also a art history major here at UMass. So this is the artist of the piece, Wendy Redstar. She is an extremely talented and well-renowned contemporary artist with her works exhibited at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art, the Fondation Quartier pour l'Art Contemporain, the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and many other well-known institutions. Wendy Redstar is indigenous Apsiloke, or Crow, and uses her heritage to explore and comment on Native American identities and colonial structures in America, often through humor and wit. Wendy Redstar is a multimedia artist with a BFA from Montana State University and a MFA in sculpture from the University of California, with one of her recent works being Where Bears Dance, which was created in 2024. It is a lithographic print on woven paper that is 24 by 20 inches in size. For those who don't know, lithography is a complex process of printing that is much more involved than other mediums. To create a lithographic print, one has to create an etching on a material, such as metal or stone, that is then covered with ink and then is printed, often in layers. That's the basic explanation, but lithography is an expansive medium with dozens of different types and techniques. So in the hypothetical gallery that would include Where Bears Dance, we would explore both the expansive world of lithography along with the equally as large breadth of American experiences and identities alongside one another in this Biographies Through Lithography exhibit, featuring artists such as Richard Yard, Joan Quick-to-See Smith, Roger Shimomura, and Cara Elizabeth Walker.
So the piece Where Bears Dance is an example of a lithographic recreation of the Bishkashe, or the Parfleche. These were a series of calling cards or maps that were used by different tribes, especially in the Montana region, including the Crow, that were used as identification from afar. So what these bags essentially were used for was to carry dry goods or materials on long journeys, on animals, and from a distance you'd be able to tell these different symbols using very recognizable colors and shapes. You could distinguish one tribe from the next. So it was both a mark of identification, but it was also something of use. The Crow tribe and other tribes that used these Parfleche bags were often carried a matrilineal history, and so these were made by women. And the process was the hide of animals was removed, it was stretched, it was shaped, and then pigments were ground and then painted. But the technique in which they were painted was with these bold brush strokes. The paint was very quick drying, so it was a matter of expertise and sort of confidence that was expressed in creating these pieces. Here's an example of some of these that would have been found carried on horseback. You can see the recognizable shapes, the bright colors, and you can tell from a distance what those might have belonged to. The different colors would have been used to signify something to do with the landscape or the history of a particular tribe. Wendy Redstar did over 226 designs in order to create this collection of different bishkeshe. And in so doing, she's doing this lithographic process, which is very time-consuming, where she's layering upon layering. And it's sort of a modern interpretation of the technique her ancestors might have used. But rather than doing it with the animal hide itself, she's doing it with this process that she has access to and that she can share with other people. Each one of these 226 different designs is completely unique and distinct from the other. And one thing she does that is especially remarkable is she gives each one the name of a woman in the tribe. So for instance, this piece, Where Bears Dance, would have been the name of a Crow woman. What she's doing is she's bringing back stories that have been forgotten. She's counteracting erasure by telling the names. Each one is distinct. Each one is a mark of identification. This one, for instance, Where Bears Dance, has these different colors and shapes that are very unique to what this woman might have represented. We have the red and the yellow representing the sun setting in the west and in the east. The green has something to do with Mother Earth, and the different shades of blue represent the different times in the night sky.
So we thought that a way to involve the student body in this potential acquisition would be through the UMCA's First Thursdays workshops. The first Thursday of each month, the UMCA stays open late and hosts workshops relating to the exhibition that's currently on view. A printmaking workshop in collaboration with Crow's Shadow Institute of Art would be the perfect opportunity for students across campus to interact with Red Star's lithograph, as well as their own cultural backgrounds to create their own biographical prints. There is a great value to acquiring a piece of Red Star's work, not only to the UMCA and the College of Humanities and Fine Arts, but interdepartmentally as well. Much of Red Star's body of work touches on Indigenous land sovereignty and appropriation by the US government. Her installation, The Soil You See 2023, was exhibited at the National Mall in DC. This sculpture highlights the fact that many treaties with Indigenous leaders and the resulting cessation of their tribal lands were brokered not by their signatures but through thumbprint or an X. Using her own fingerprint as the model, the sculpture's ridges include the names of 50 Crow chiefs and tribal representatives who signed treaties with the US government between 1825 and 1880. The College of Natural Sciences, specifically the Department of Environmental Conservation, could make use of having a work by an artist that advocates for the protection of originally indigenous land and the detrimental effects on said land by the displacement of hundreds of native tribes. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our proposal tonight. This piece is really quite stunning and extraordinary, not only in its intricate composition made through a medium that requires a master's touch, but through its subject matter of bringing to the forefront of public mind the hundreds of Indigenous women who have previously been left out of America's history.
Hello, everyone. So the agenda for today's presentation is first we're gonna introduce ourselves, and you guys are gonna learn about the artist Eric Paul Reach, and we're gonna introduce the Pillow Drawing 15. And in the end, I'm gonna propose to you the exhibition, and it really shows how the Pillow Drawing 15 can really fit into the UMass permanent collection. So first, about myself, my name is Nora. I'm currently a senior studying chemical engineering here. I'm passionate about art curation because for me personally, every artwork speaks a different story. On top of that, I'm into photographic artwork at museums because I feel like a different lighting, different angle can really bring a whole different viewing experience. And I'm gonna pass it to my next member, Soraya.
Hi, everybody. My name is Soraya Lewis. I'm a junior year student here at the university. I'm from Newtown, Connecticut, and I'm majoring in art history. From the photos, you get an idea of things that I'm really interested in, like nature and travel, but above all, studying art is a huge passion of mine, and that's why I'm really looking forward to present a potential addition to the university's museum.
My name is Olivia. Hi, I am a dual degree student in art history and psychology, and I'm currently really interested in medieval art. So the artist whose work we are hoping to add to the UMCA collection is Eric Paul Riege. He is an indigenous Dene artist of the Red Running into the River clan, and he was born in Gallup, New Mexico, bordering the Navajo Reservation, and his hometown and his family are very important to his work. His artistic practice is often sculptural, weaving together materials like sheep's wool, tin cans, human hair, beads, and thrifted material. And the reusing of material from exhibition to exhibition is also very important to his work. And he has described his work as playful and kitsch in the way that he mainly uses soft materials and fiber to form these larger-than-life sculptures. So these are some of his soft sculptures. These are from two separate exhibits, which are both centered around the stories of Dene mythology that he heard from his grandmother as a kid, of these godlike creatures that were said to have walked the earth. And as a kid, he imagined what they would wear and specifically what kind of jewelry they would wear. So he made these large plush sculptures based on the idea of what kind of jewelry they would wear. And he also refers to these earrings as totems of memory that carry memory of his family and ancestry, but also of those who come to view his pieces and interact with them. And then in the center of both of these images or these sculptures, there is a loom, which emphasizes the process of weaving and how the process of art making is just as important as the final product. These are some of his most recent works, again, incorporating themes of Dene mythology with the jewelry on the right, and then on the left is a picture of his grandmother and weavings that she did that she passed down to him. There's also an element of performance in his work. He often makes this regalia and then does these weaving dances where he goes around the exhibition and interacts with his work. This is his most recent exhibition, where he showcases what he calls felted beads. For this project, he hand-spun the wool himself, and it also references Dene mythology.
So I'm super excited to present this piece right here from Eric Paul Riege. It's titled Pillow Drawing 15. It was created in 2025, and the piece is made up of wax crayon, archival and Indian ink on paper that is then sewn to faux fur, and additionally thrifted yarn. And it's actually a part of a series of 14 other pillow drawings, which also illustrate numerous shapes and patterns that are incorporated within his other sculptural pieces. When looking at this pillow, we see two figures drawn on the ink standing side by side. And so these figures are meant to be depictions of both the artist, Eric Paul Riege, and his son, Holo, which you can see him holding. Holo is a Dene word meaning to exist, and it is what Riege refers to as his son born from the womb of his mind. So while it's not an actual physical person, it is a sacred and cultural creation that he's included on this pillow. These two figures drawn together are similar to a family portrait of sorts, and for Riege, themes of ancestry, family, and Dene culture are very important within his artwork and are expressed on this one as well. In addition to learning about these themes of the art piece, our group wanted to learn more about the meaning behind this series and to answer the questions we had about his inspiration, and additionally, the way that pillow drawings relate to his other artwork. And while we looked for these answers, our group was actually fortunate enough to get in contact with the artist, and he helped us answer some of our questions. Eric Paul Riege explained, quote, they became this way to bridge drawing and my soft sculpture together, and we see this within the pillow as well. And then as for the illustrations, He says, a lot of my drawing ideas are around shapes I know how to sew and weave together in sculpture. Additionally, he wanted to emphasize that these pieces are extremely important to him as they are vital parts of his work as an artist because they are the first time he's showing off his drawings to the viewer. And as Reach mentioned, the material ties this work to his other soft sculpture. In general, however, the material for the artwork is of great importance. And so with the use of soft, plushy material, he's able to manipulate and make his work look the way he wants. And in this case, you can kind of see the wrinkled and aged effect that he's giving it, and it ultimately ties memory to object. And when we think about the themes that we mentioned, ancestry, culture, family, and now memory with the material, I believe that this is what can connect with our campus here. So for many, objects hold memory, and whether that's related to families or friends, memories in general are very valuable to our community. And as we'll soon introduce this theoretical exhibition idea in a moment, I think there's a quote from Ruiz that connects well to this idea. He says, "Each material either comes with or is impressed upon with marks that are indicative of their journey, whether that's from the hands that manufactured the yarn or beads that I work into the artworks to the run of an exhibition where the audience members are touching and molecularly altering the surfaces." So his use of material creates memory, and with the depiction of the family, him and his son on the pillow, it weaves together this idea. And by considering this piece, we too will have the opportunity to visually interact with the piece and alter the surfaces, as Reese says, which is why I believe that this piece would make a wonderful addition to the museum.
So our idea for this exhibition, Echoes of Inheritance, is to have themes centered around ancestry, cosmos, and 3D sculptural form. So in this exhibition, each work connects the personal, the cosmic, and the stories, and most importantly, larger forces that shape them, reflecting ancestral connections found in Pillow Drawing 15. So the first piece from the UMass Permanent Collection I would like to introduce to you is this Hamhong story quilt. This is embroidered with mythic story of God's transformation and shows how stories can be passed down through craft. The tale is as if stitched into the fabric, turned into a beautiful way to remember loved ones, just as Regis Pillow holds memory through soft yarn and drawing. The second one, also from the UMass collection, is this piece, mixed media artwork, Tidal by Kiki. This reminds us that the natural cycles of the moon, the tides, and the generation connect all living things. Similarly, Regis' work reflects the spiritual, physical ties between the land, the family, and the sky. The third one, also from a UMass Permanent Collection, is this screen-printed textile. This emphasizes heritage identity in a way that mirrors Regis' focus on family and ancestry. As you can see here, it's a mix of branches, roots, and names hidden in the background. These can be both visible and unseen. I would like to expand my proposed exhibition to include 5 college permanent collection, particularly ones from Smith and Amherst. The idea here is to explore themes in Regis' practice, particularly ancestry, storytelling, people, and the land. These are the everyday artifacts. For example, from the top left, you can see this is the cosmetic box. The middle is the storytelling figures symbolizing oral traditions of passing down the stories and culture. And the plate here is engraved with seascape. At the bottom, on the left, is the kneeling bench. Next is the fabric doll, and lastly is the miniature landscape under the glass dome. These reflect how memory, heritage, and narrative are embodied in material forms, much like Regis Pillow Drawing 15, which weaves together family, land, and ancestral ties. So Pillow Drawing 15 connects across different academic departments. So first is the Department of Anthropology, particularly material culture studies. Pillow Drawing 15 allows to understand how everyday items like pillows carry cultural knowledge, memory, and identity. This can also provide great discussions on themes like ancestry and skinship. Another point is that the Native American Indigenous Studies Certificate Program The pillow drawing 15 is a great example of the DNA cultural expression. Lastly, the Department of Art History can also benefit greatly from this. This is a case study that allows us to study how 21st century indigenous art within fiber subculture, sculpture, and mixed media practice. Another fun idea is that once we acquire this piece, we can host a little fun soft stories workshop, transforming everyday materials into textile artworks. So you can create your own soft drawings, you can select your own upcycled textile from old clothing or leftover craft materials, and use symbol stitch to make it into a small soft cushion to take home. So lastly, why pillow drawing 15? For me personally, so I'm instinctively captivated by 3D element sculptural form. So for me, this just speaks to me the most.
For me, what I love the most about this piece is not only its illustration, but the way he's able to showcase drawings, another media, and mix it with sculptural elements as well.
Hi, I think this would be a great addition to the collection because we don't have any work from this artist, and also there's not a lot of sculptural work in the collection, so it would be something new. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, I'm Clarice. I'm in my senior year of my art history major. As you can tell by these photos, I'm also an artist and have always been interested in both the history of art and the process of making art, both of which have always helped me to create my own works, such as these.
Hi, I'm Eli. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a senior art history major with a classics minor. And I, in addition to art history, am very interested in the natural sciences, and particularly natural sciences illustration, which I have also done some of myself. And we are very excited to be presenting our artist to you for consideration for the University Museum of Contemporary Art collection, Star Wallowing Bowl.
Star Wallowing Bowl is a Native American visual artist based in North Dakota who is known for his intricately designed colored pencil drawings full of a variety of colors and well-known logos. He is a citizen of the White Earth Band of the Minnesota Chippewa tribe and is also a descendant of both the Ojibwe and Arapaho tribes. He derives lots of inspiration from his own father, Frank Big Bear, who is well known amongst Native American artists for his style that also primarily focuses on using colored pencils, much like his son. Both use intricate designs in their work and bright colors that tell stories through signs and symbols, a practice that is commonly used in tribal storytelling. As you can see here, with Frank Big Bear's piece titled Ancestors on the left, and Star Wallowing Bowl's piece on the right titled Aboriginal Sky God, they both share a lot of similarities in style. Here, between these two pieces, both use colored pencil over a black background depicting what seems to be figures of mighty and powerful gods and ancestors in the night sky. Both use symbols of stars and ancestors in bright colors and human-like forms to showcase their gods in their true celestial forms. Throughout his works, despite the clear comparisons to his father, Star Wallowing Bowl deviates from his father's style and creates his own imagery that relates to him and his own experience as a native and the newer generation, as many of his works reference mainstream pop culture. In works such as this one, called Outer Space Brain, you can see these pop culture references come into play, such as in the top right and left corners, where there are Transformers as well as multiple Star Wars icons who stay hidden in the background. Both of these were huge in American culture when he was growing up in the 80s. Here are some more of his other works. In these, he uses pop culture references to explore the intersections between indigeneity and pop culture. Works like these, made by Star Wallowing Bowl, can be found in a variety of popular museum collections, such as Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian and the British Museum. And hopefully it can be found in our very own collection at UMass in the future. Which brings us to the piece of our choice for the UMCA's collection, which is titled Reminiscence. In this piece, Star Wallowing Bowl makes sure that you know his name, titled Reminiscence, placing his own identity front and center. The large logo-like center is surrounded by symbols of American cultural identity that intermingle with his Native American culture in the natural world. The Statue of Liberty dominates the top section, while barbed wire defines the bottom section. A freshly emerged monarch butterfly and orb weaver spider render in lifelike detail contrast with the highly stylized Ojibwe florals. Wallowing Bowl combines overlapping logos for beer, rolling papers, and batteries with a revolver, noose, and a designer knife holder, suggesting negative stereotypes of Native American alcoholism and drug use and the history of violence that drives them. And one thing we really love to point out is that this work is a colored pencil original. Not only is the technical skill with the colored pencils impressive in itself, but we would only have this one of this work. And it feels a little bit special for us to be able to have that and for students to be able to view it up close.
Because the collection here is used for teaching, it's very important that the works we collect are relevant to the many colleges and departments here at UMass. The inclusion of this highly naturalistic spider and butterfly in this piece, as well as a plant that goes with the monarch butterfly, provides something of interest to classes that deal with biology and wildlife in addition to their symbolic meanings. The two bugs here contrast with much of the other imagery in the drawing and might suggest small parts of a natural world and a natural environment that Star Wallowing Bull is familiar with, but their limited role relative to the pop culture references may also say something about mainstream American attitudes towards that same natural environment. The piece's application to the disciplines of art and art history is somewhat self-evident, but it lends itself really well to the close-looking method that we use at the UMCA to examine works of art, because it's so dense with symbols and imagery that you can really spend a lot of time with the piece. The piece could also be used in teaching in the sociology department, social thought and political economy, and for American studies, to examine this complex combination of logos and pop culture references that he uses. In fairly broad terms, they relate to stereotypes of addiction within the Native American communities, but his specific use of Disney's Pinocchio and a commercialized image of a French North African regiment member, the man with the mustache, who's the logo for a French brand of rolling papers, is worth interrogating. So we followed these themes of commercial signage, urban landscapes, and reflections of Native American culture in American pop culture to create a hypothetical exhibition group that we're calling Native Americana. All of the pieces we're about to show you are from the 5 colleges' collections, and the majority are from the UMCA collection. The works that we would exhibit reminiscence with share themes of commercial signage and urban landscapes. At the top, one of Jim Dow's photographs of Major League Baseball stadiums from the Midwest, including the team then known as the Cleveland Indians, demonstrating the intersections between a sport nicknamed America's pastime, Native American stereotypes, and the use of these Native people as logos or mascots, and works by Richard Estes and Don Eddy at the bottom, which share this photorealistic quality in their depiction of signs and commercialism in urban areas. Eddy's work Neon Junkyard in the bottom right is also done in colored pencils like Reminiscence. Here we have 2 works by Andrea Carlson, another contemporary Ojibwe artist who shares these elements of natural landscapes and arthropod life that intermingle with bold signage. Carlson's work is in the Amherst College collection, so these are hypothetically on loan, but she's currently the only contemporary Ojibwe artist in the entire 5 colleges collection. So adding Star Wallowing Bull to our collection would help fill the gap of Ojibwe representation here, and he would also be the only artist with Arapaho ancestry in the whole 5 colleges collections. At the moment, the only representation for the Arapaho people is photographs and a drawing by white settlers. With some additional photos from Don Eddy's series of stadiums, particularly from the Midwest, we've also drawn connections between a piece by Rick Griffin that suggests an advertisement for an invented brand of tobacco, as well as Beth Van Hosen's print, which is titled Steve, whose punk look and profile have parallels in both anthropological drawings of Native Americans, as well as the actual Mohawk tribe, who are the namesake of his hairstyle. And to show you this piece once again, one of the things I like most about Reminiscence is that there's just so much to investigate. I spent the better part of an afternoon just looking at the bottom section and searching for all of the logos that Wallowing Bowl included, because everyone that I was able to identify added a new layer of meaning to the piece.
What I really liked about Reminiscence is the amount of hidden meanings that relate to Star Wallowing Bowl. The imagery is much deeper than just the logos, and looking into them and comparing them to Wallowing Bowl's life brings a lot more meaning and context to them overall. This piece truly allows you to look at art more closely, and it'd be a great addition to our collection, so go vote.
All right, wow, that was amazing. All of you guys did such a great job. Can we give them one more round of applause? So what you just heard was the culmination of our semester-long course. It's a one-credit course offered through Art History. And I just want to shout out, along with Christina and myself, the course is taught with Jenny Lind, our collection manager. The three of us work long and hard over the summer to identify a short list of artists, and then the students begin their time with us and learn and research the artists and then select the artists that they want to work on, and that is how the teams are made. So the presentations that you heard came out of weeks of research, of a field trip we took to Boston where they got to see the Indigenous Present show at the ICA Boston and get kind of context around where Indigenous contemporary art is today. So you're really seeing the result of a lot of work and good thinking and learning about the museum and what we stand for. So we're really proud of all of you, and I feel like you did an incredible job. So now comes the fun part. Up on the screen, you see the QR code. It will take you to a very simple ballot. You can only vote for one artwork, which I know is going to be incredibly difficult. So think it through before you choose your option. We're going to spend about 5 minutes to vote. If you have any technical problems, please raise your hand and one of our staff will come and assist you. I also want to say a big hello to everybody who's watching virtually. I know that there'll be a link in the chat for you to go right to that ballot. Thank you, Erica. And again, just send a note to our webinar extraordinaire if you're having any issues technically online. And then I'll be back in 5 minutes. We'll tally the votes and we'll do the big reveal. All right, so I'm hearing that some of our UMass friends are having trouble getting on. I think there's some sort of, they're trying to get you to log in through your Microsoft account or something weird. So our backup solution here is to use the paper ballot. If you don't have one, there's more at the desk, at the rear of the room, and we'll have a pen, and you can just circle the one that you want, and we'll collect those and add those to the total count, okay? All right, last call for anybody who wasn't able to vote. We're about to close the voting. All right, just give me 2 minutes to confer with Christina, and then we're going to come and announce the winner. All right, everybody, we have a clear winner. Thank you for your votes. And just to state, we're in Western Mass and everyone is a winner. We're all winners. And I truly believe that. Like, you students are fantastic. But the artwork, the artist that got the most votes this evening was Star Wallowing Bull for Reminiscence. And the crazy news is that we are in a tie for second and third. And so if anybody has not voted at home watching, we need a tiebreaker because we are in the fortunate position to be able to buy 2 pieces this evening. So we're going to see what happens here, but I also want to just say, especially for those at home, but also here, that the value of this program is incredible, which I hope you were able to see this evening with the work that the students presented. So if you are thinking at all of supporting students, just supporting arts, supporting UMass, we do have an opportunity for you at home to donate to this, directly to this program, to keep this program growing so that we can continue to do it and continue to purchase incredible works of art. So I'm just continuing to look and see. It does seem that we have a very, very narrow second place winner now of Eric Paul Riege Pillar Drawing 15. So that will also be purchased for the collection. And Wendy Red Star team, know that you were just razor thin behind second place. So you guys were incredible. I want to just take a moment to do some very important thank yous, if you'll bear with me. Okay. I want to join Christina in thanking Adrian Torf. We're so, so grateful for all that you do for this program, for this university, and for our museum. I also want to thank the Art History Department and Karen Krasinski, who's our best partner there, along with so many other wonderful faculty, and their support of this program has been so important and crucial. I want to thank Mary Zhang, who couldn't be here tonight, but she was oh, she is here, yay! Mary, you were a fantastic guide for our students this semester. She's a previous student of Collecting 101, and this semester she worked as an intern for the museum and supported the class throughout the way. And she was really invaluable to have. Thank you, Mary. This semester we worked with 2 incredible galleries, the Bockley Gallery, which is in Minneapolis, who partnered with us for this program. It's really important for us to partner with galleries who are willing to and see the value in these academic programs. They hold the artworks for us for what they would normally not do, but they hold the artworks for us throughout this, throughout the course, so that the students can learn and research and then potentially purchase those artworks. So thank you to all the folks at Bockley Gallery, Todd and Emily Marcelik, and also they visited the students via Zoom and filled them in on the background to many of the artists. So that was really incredible that they did that. And also a big thank you to Crow's Shadow Institute of Art, the other gallery that we partnered with this semester, especially Emma Barnes, Jacqueline Walker, and Michael Holloman, who all were part of bringing the students into the story of Crow's Shadow Institute of Art. They also joined us via Zoom for one of our classes. And that, I think, is it. So thank you again for coming tonight. I really want to make sure students, you stick around. We need a group photo. So please come up to the front and let's give them another big round of applause for all their hard work.